few months after its death, I think I was annoying my sister on a family holiday. My sister cried, and my mum came into my bedroom, hit me so much, and as she was hitting me, she went, "This is all your fault. You're an awful child, and it's your fault that you killed."
Let's start with the first question, Christian. How have you been? And give me like the realest possible answer.
How have I been? What do you mean in general life terms, or like now?
Let's say in general, mentally and emotionally, generally in life terms.
Uh, Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I'm an English person living in Australia, in Bondi Beach, which, aside from various attacks happening, it is actually a very pleasant place to live. Yeah, so I feel like I've made it just by being here.
So you weren't born. Where were you born?
I was born in the UK, in a county called Buckinghamshire, and my village is called Chalfont St. Peter, and my
Hmm.
full name, wait for this, Christian James Edward Elderfield.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's so posh. Honestly, I may as well be called Humphrey Fuck the Poor Esquire the Second. Really, I mean, like, it's not a very endearing name or a series of places to come from, really. So people don't really feel sorry for you if they think you've got resting rich face and you're brought up with money.
Resting rich face. I've never heard that phrase before. You made that up? I've never heard that one before.
No, I don't have money. I don't have money. It's all tied up in property. I don't have money.
Right.
Um, Turn on reactions. This thing's just come up on. Oh, you've got that thing on where if I put my thumb up, the AI on this app thinks that we should be.
I don't think I have it on. Honestly, I'm really new to Riverside, so I'm still figuring it out myself. Do you want me to turn it on?
No.
Okay. I'll leave it.
I think AI is brilliant in some respects, but it actually ruins a lot of other things.
Yeah. And one thing about your job, which is being a comedian, is it will never, ever take your job as a stand-up comedian. No one wants to listen to a robot on stage, I feel like.
Well, it's weird because the way you start as a comedian, you start in the open mic scene, which has been described by a lot of seasoned comics as a support network for the socially inept. So it is just a bunch of people getting together. A lot of these people have confidence issues. They don't have many friends. They find it hard to connect socially. And then they're around people that have those exact same qualities, and they try and get over them by getting on stage. But it's only the people with actual kind of drive and talent and who are funny that get to kind of progress beyond that.
So wait, let's get back to the first part. You were saying that a lot of like basically social outcasts try to be comedians?
I'm only saying this because I was one.
Oh,
When I was younger, I didn't really have many friends, and I didn't. I wanted attention essentially, and the way to get that was to go into London and go to open mic nights and just see if I could be funny on stage.
so I'm already pretty confused because you are extremely funny. I was able to pick that up very fast. So I'm wondering like what was stopping you from having friends as such a funny person? Were you a funny kid?
No,
Mm.
no. I
Yeah.
was an unbearable child. Um, I think I screamed and cried a lot. Um, People always talk about like being hit by their parents. I was smacked a lot as a kid, and you get people growing up now that just go, "Ah, I was hit as a child and I've got trauma." I think I'm one of those people that go, I deserved it. I
Really?
think, which is why, because I'm 38 years old,
Mm.
and my mum and dad are like, are you gonna have kids? And I go, well, if my kids are anything like me, I don't, I don't want them at all. This is a genetic cul-de-sac. It ends here.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a saying with my friends, the suffering ends with me because they try to convince me to have children and that's how I hit them back. So I would love to know like what, you said you were unbearable. Can you unpack that a little bit? How were you so unbearable?
I think if I didn't get my way, I would cry and scream a lot. I was a bit of an angry kid as well, and I had this chest of drawers in my room, and I
Mhm.
used to just punch the chest of drawers. Like I was a pretty shit child, and I didn't have many friends in school because I there was well the pennies, the 1p's and 2p's that we have in the UK. People would just drop those on the floor, and there were so many of them that I remember walking around and picking up the pennies, right? Because
Uh-huh.
you can buy a burger for £1 when I was a kid in school, and
Yep,
my
yep.
mum and dad never gave me lunch money, so I'd walk around, I'll pick up the pennies, and I remember there was two really fat lunch ladies, and they went, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm picking up the pennies. If I get 100 of these, I'll be able to buy a burger." And then these two fat lunch ladies, I remember, just said, "He's the only one with any sense in this place." Yeah, I'm also the only one with no friends, so it's not socially acceptable to go picking up money from the floor that people have thrown away.
Yeah, I mean, well, so okay, you said one sentence that really stuck out to me that it kind of explains why you were picking up the money, which is my parents never gave me lunch money.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what is that about?
Oh, yeah, they would always make me sort of pack lunches, or yeah, I'd like go to school with some sandwiches, a chocolate bar, and a packet of crisps, really, or as you call them, chips.
Lunch for you.
Yeah, they'd pack a lunch for me, but looking back on it, that was actually a really sensible money saving thing for them to do.
Hmm.
And there was one kid called oh god, I remember his name, Matthew Bannister. He was such a stick thin kid. He was a real rake, and
Uh,
his parents gave him money for food every single day. He would
uh,
buy rib burgers,
uh,
chips, all
uh,
this stuff. Man,
uh.
this kid is the most obese human being now. Like it's just
You Thanks.
so if you see thin people walking around, you'll think, oh wow, they take care of themselves, they've got good diet and exercise regime, or they could be just povo and completely poor, which it also is a really good way of staying in shape.
Yeah, I bet. So what I'm wondering, Chris, is do you go by Chris or does it have to be Christian?
I prefer Christian.
Gotcha. Okay, so what I'm wondering, Christian, is what were you so angry about?
Why was I so angry? Uh, I always felt like I didn't fit in. I was a bit of a misfit. I feel like people would um, yeah, just bond over the most trivial of things. And I just felt like there was just something more out there. Like, yeah, I don't know. Did you grow up in New York, or did you
Yeah, I grew up in New York. Yep.
you grew up in New York and you are still in New York? So you feel like you really fit in. You've got your friendship group. You've got your childhood friends that you went to school with. You
I've had
probably feel like
cool.
yeah, you probably feel like a member of a community that you belong in and you want to stay in for the rest of your life because it's a good feeling to feel that way. Well, I never really felt that really, and because like I have quite a lot of energy, and the British mentality is just to keep it low key, down low, not to react that much, and I am just none of those things. So when I moved to Australia, there's they're just happy English people over here. That's pretty much what they are. Like it's kind of culturally, it's similar, but they are happier people because the weather is nicer and the economy is great. There's not really anyone on the streets. You can literally have a part-time job and work 3 days a week and live a fairly comfortable life and go down the beach and surf and have coffee with friends and whatever. It's lovely here. I feel like I really fit in here compared to the UK. The quality of life is higher.
It sounds like a slightly colder version of Hawaii.
Yeah, actually, New Zealand is a colder version. It's a very cold Hawaii because it's still part of Polynesia. So you still go around, you still see like these crazy tropical trees, but you got to walk outside with a coat.
I'm just thinking in my head about how because Hawaii is a separate island and because Australia is a separate continent, maybe
Yeah,
that separation has a lot to do with why it's such a peaceful place because you're separated from the rest of the world.
yeah. I have a joke where I say that the Australia's long distance relationship with the rest of the world, it's
Yeah.
just so good to wait out World War III. And I'll look at the crowd and be like, look at you. Half of you think the Strait of Hormuz is a restaurant in Melbourne. So like, it's just, it's a great place to wait it all out. And if anything does kick off, which it definitely won't, it definitely won't. I mean, look, watch the news. It's going really well at the moment. Then this is the best place to go because it's just too far away for anyone to bother with, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so forgive me if you already answered this question, but how did you or why did you end up in Australia?
So I came over here about 11 years ago
Mhm.
with a girlfriend. We were together for a year and a half in the UK, and she said, "Look, my visa's running out. Either you come to Australia with me, or we have to break up, and I leave the country and you stay here." And I just looked her in the eyes and I was like, "Honey, I will travel to the ends of the earth for you." And she was like, "Oh my God, you are so romantic." Whereas secretly, I was like, "This is my ticket out of the UK. I can leave.
Oh, you
Yes."
really hated the UK, huh?
I just despise. Yeah, I don't like it at all. You
Wow.
talk to any British person about what the UK is like, we will all say it's a shithole, it's crap, I never want to go back. Which is the exact opposite of you Americans. You say, "What's America like?" You'll be like, "It's number one, it's the greatest country in the world," and you are so proud. Whereas English mentality is flipped. And I think it's because we just have this general air of unhappiness in regards to the quality of life, the way the country's being governed. Um, it's landmass wise, it's quite a small space, but with so many people crammed into it. Like I'm in Australia, which has a similar landmass to the entire of North America, which has about 380 million people in it. This country has 27 million people in it. There's
Really?
so much space here, but the UK, so the entirety of the UK can fit into Queensland, which is a state here in Australia. It's
Mhm.
basically the Texas of Australia. So the
Okay.
UK can fit into Queensland 33 times.
Wow.
Yeah, and in the UK, there's about 68, 70 million people, which is approximately just under three times as much as there is in Australia.
I did not realize Australia was that big. You said it was as big as North America?
Yeah, pretty much landmass wise, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so if like every year I do the festival circuit,
Hmm.
comedy wise. So there's
Hmm.
Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, and then Sydney. Perth is on the exact opposite side of the country that Sydney is.
Hmm.
Okay, so to
Okay.
fly from Sydney to Perth is about 5 hours on a plane,
That's like
which
California to New York. Yeah.
yeah, which is approximately the same as yeah, California to New York.
Have you been
So
to America?
yeah, I worked on a summer camp as a camp counselor when I was 20 and 21 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was one of only about four English people on the camp, and man, you Americans love the accent.
Yes, yeah. The girls like it, especially, I bet.
Yeah, it is weird. Like I worked with Northerners, so they sort of kind of sound like that, like just sort of up north, and then you get to the middle of the country, with a kind of Peaky Blinders accent, and then down south is my accent, which is the bad guy from every Disney movie you've ever watched.
It sounds like you picked up a little bit of Australian accent as well while you're there.
Oh, dude, I've been here for 11 years, and I mean, even saying years, I've they hold on to vowels here like
Uh,
it depended on their life.
uh,
Sorry, just getting my accent out of there a little bit. Um, so yeah, like I'm sure you've seen the videos online about Australians saying the word no,
I
like
have,
no,
yeah, I have, yeah, yeah, with the R.
no.
Yep.
Yeah, it's it's weird, man. They hold on to it.
How do you feel about the fact that you picked up the accent a little bit?
Um, I am okay with it. I when I'm on stage and I do comedy, I revert a lot more back into my British sense, and I go a lot posher for some reason on stage. But it is a very easy accent to slip into because it's quite lazy with the mouth movements.
Hmm.
I have a cousin who lives here with his wife, and they've got two children here. They're both English,
Hmm.
and in school, when I guess the kid of your cousin is your second cousin. So when their child went to school, their child was getting bullied for pronouncing the word water properly. So they pronounced it with a T, which is how it's spelt. And so my cousin had to teach his kid to say it in the Australian way, which is to put a D in there and water. It's water going around the corner to have a glass of water, whereas he would be like, I'm going around the corner to have a glass of water. It's just.
Hmm. I'm
Yeah,
just thinking
yeah,
about
yeah.
how he got bullied for pronouncing it the correct way, which is a pretty, silly reason to be bullied. Not that there's any good reason. So let's go back to the career. So long story short, you said that you became a comedian because you sort of felt like a misfit as a child, and you felt like being on stage would make you less of a misfit. Is that correct or?
I felt like if I was around people that wanted the same thing as me, then we would have like a camaraderie together, and we did. It's a great experience for anyone who doesn't even have the ambition to be a professional comedian. It's a really good way for you to meet people and that you would never usually meet. I remember going on a car journey in the UK. It was about 2 hours. We went from London to this gig uh, in some random village somewhere, and
Uh,
in the car was a I was 22 at the time.
hmm.
In the car was a 35-year-old Indian IT manager,
Okay.
a 50-year-old West African dude that dressed up like a an African warlord as his comedy act,
Uh,
and like a 30-year-old Asian dentist.
okay.
Okay, so it was like this weird mix of people that would never talk to each other or hang out with each other. Just
Uh,
in a car, we're all just talking about comedy, how
uh,
much we love it, joke theories, what we find funny, what we find annoying, our likes, dislikes. And it's just a wonderful way to meet people that you would never normally hang out with.
if you have the skill to get there, because I'm wondering, like, because you're clearly a funny guy today, and you said that you weren't a funny kid, and that surprises me a little bit because I feel like usually like people are funny their entire lives. So how did you go from like non-funny to super funny? How did you make that jump?
Oh, it's you never go from non-funny to super funny. You just are who you are, and you try and so this is my theory, right? I think we're all hilarious when we're children. If we're not hilarious when we're children, you will never be hilarious. I think you're born with it. You've got funny bones, and kids are innately funny because they haven't been conditioned to act in certain ways like we have as adults.
Yeah.
So what happens is when you grow up, your parents tell you you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to behave this way in this situation, and your conditioning solidifies as you grow up. But when you start comedy, that process of breaking down those conditions and trying to find out who you were as a child begins. And if you can really find that and tap into what made you really funny as a kid, I feel like you would be a very successful comic.
If you tap into your inner child.
Yeah, I think so. Because there are so many different types of humor, like dark humor, gallows humor.
Mhm.
You've got wordplay, puns, incongruity, pullback and reveals or whatever. But I think at the very base level, silly is universal. If you are silly, that's a very childlike way to be. And I think everybody connects with silly.
Yeah, well, or at least used to. Some adults no longer connect. What I also notice about comedy is that the more awkward something is, the more funny it is. Like awkward, I feel like it plays a large role in comedy. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there are a lot of people who play to that strength.
Hmm.
Um, there's a female comedian. She's American and she's fantastic. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Italian name. It's like Crissini something. She's very awkward and she plays that like so well, so well. Uh, yeah, and also The Office as well. Do you remember the British Office that when that came
Both.
out?
I've watched both. Yep.
Yeah, so that really capitalized on being awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when that was first brought to the BBC by Ricky Gervais,
Hmm.
every single program was very similar at the BBC at the time. So when he brought it to them, there was a committee at the BBC that said, right, we love the script. We want to put a laugh track on it. We want the
Really?
jokes to be this way. And it's going to be like all the other sitcoms.
Yep.
And he stood his ground. He was in his 30s at the time. And he was like, no, I want it to be, I don't
Dry.
want a laugh track on it. I want it to be filmed like it's a kind of mockumentary.
Mm.
And the pauses and awkwardness is where the humor comes from. You can't get that if you put a laugh track on it. And I think that was really one of the keystones in building that kind of, oh, humor can be cringy and it can be awkward.
Yeah, that's why it's one of the most successful shows of all time. Ricky Gervais is definitely one of my favorite comedians of all time. My favorite as far as stand-up goes is probably Louis C.K. I think he's fucking
Oh,
hilarious.
me too, man.
Really?
Honestly, he's my hero. I
Yeah.
think he's
Is he
fantastic.
like your number one stand-up comedian you in your head?
Um, yes, because when I watched him when I first started out, it's
Uh-huh.
like you can't even tell that where the joke starts, where the joke ends. It's just he's just funny as he is. Like he's this kind of defeated dad who is self-deprecating
Yeah.
and just a joy to watch because I think we all feel like that inside sometimes, and it just connects with you on a much deeper level. Because there are a lot of American stand-ups that are quite, macho and a lot of bravado there, and he just doesn't have any of that, and that's what I really like about him.
Yeah, he
Him,
really is not a person who tries very. It's just he's just naturally funny. He doesn't have to try very hard.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's so good. Bill Burr's great because it's just, yeah, he's just got that passion in him. He's just such a passionate guy, and they're both from Boston in
Oh,
New
really? I
York,
didn't know that.
right? So there's a comedian here who lives here now in Sydney. His name's Al Del Bene. He grew up with um, Louis C.K. Bill. He's friends with Bill Burr, and he
Wow.
actually lived with Patrice O'Neill for a little while.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea, no idea, because when I first met him, he sounds. He's got the same accent and
He was in the
cadence
office
as
with Patrice O'Neill. He was
Louis
in.
C.K. Yeah, he lived in New York. He was a very good, an excellent comic and an actor, and he moved to LA. And he was the resident MC of the Laugh Factory for like 11 years. And then he met his wife, who's Australian. They moved here, had children. Now the life is here. His best friend was Dane Cook, and he used to travel
Oh,
around touring with Dane Cook in that era where Dane Cook was the most famous comedian in the world at one point. Do you
yeah.
remember he made it on MySpace?
Yep. 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 Which is coming back. MySpace is coming back.
Is it?
So Tom made an announcement. Tom, Tom, the head, the
Tom from
CEO.
MySpace. I
He
thought
made
he was
he
dead.
made an announcement. There, I don't know what, like some sort of reboot. I don't know exactly what he's gonna do, but he's bringing it back.
No.
Yeah.
How?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
that's
should research how. I don't know exactly what he's gonna do. I don't even know if he's mentioned like what he's gonna do, but all I know is he's bringing it back very soon, which I'm
yeah,
excited for.
right. What a time to be alive,
I know, right?
Going back to MySpace.
I know. So listen, let's get back to you because I'm trying to figure out how, because you're pretty well known now, and you have over 10,000
I'm
followers.
definitely not, but thank you for thinking though.
Well, relatively, you have over 10,000 followers, and I've watched your stuff, and I absolutely love the shark bit about the school shooter. The brilliant, man, brilliant, which I told you. Um, I'm wondering, like, how did you get to where you are? Like, did you start with skits? Like, did you go straight to the stage? How did you get there?
Um, I think the key to success in this industry is just durability, perseverance, and consistency. You just have to keep going. You'll get knocked back 1,000 times, but as long as you keep working on your act, you keep writing jokes, and you keep working out in the gym of your brain and getting up there and delivering every time, then people will recognize that talent. They'll ask you to do gigs, and eventually you'll be known as what you're known as, really. Like, I've been doing this now for 16 years, which is a teenager in terms of like the guys that have been doing it for like 30 or 40 years or whatever. But I've been doing it for so long now that most of the scene here in Sydney started when I was already doing this as a full-time job. So those people now see you as kind of a stalwart of comedy. They'll book me to headline, and I remember when I was first booked to headline, I was thinking, oh my God, I've never headlined before. I remember being an
Yeah,
open micer, watching the headline. I go, oh my God, how do I get that good? They're fantastic.
yeah,
And you don't realize that you constantly working on jokes and you writing and working at your act, you are slowly becoming the headliner that you were, going to be if you kept doing this, which, most of us dream that we would keep doing this until basically we die, really. Yeah, it's like the frog in the pot that's slowly boiling. You don't really realize, and then
yeah,
suddenly you're like, oh,
yeah.
as the headliner, all you really have to be is better than everybody else on the bill.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how, people see where you are, but they don't see what you had to do to get there, right? They don't see all the writing, they don't see the rejections, they don't see the maybe, I don't know, crying, but they don't see like all the, everything that you went through to get there.
Yeah, I remember working in London. So I lived in a little village outside of London, and it took me an hour and a half to get into work. And I'd wake up at like 7 a.m., get the train at like 7:45. I'd be in work by about 9:15, 9:30. I'd finish at 5:30. I'd bugger about in London for a bit, go to a gig. I'd have to wait for my spot on the bill and then get the train back home. I wouldn't get back until maybe 12 at night, 1 a.m. And then
Wow.
I'd do that every day for about 5 days a week. And it was exhausting.
Yeah, sounds like,
But yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I'd move into London,
uh,
and weirdly, that was cheaper than me spending money getting in and out of London. This is how long it took me to get into London, right? Um, I used to work for YouTube, and we had a meeting at Google head offices.
wait for YouTube.
You work for YouTube?
My brother.
Oh, wicked,
Must
wicked,
be
man. A lot of sitting around on bean bags with laptops.
He's one of
So
those people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it took me an hour and a half to get to from my village to the Google head office in central London. I got there and I started talking to the Paris team. It only took them 55 minutes to
Okay.
get from Paris to central London.
Okay.
They live in another country and speak a different language, and it took them quicker to get to the Google head office than it did for me, who lives outside of London.
How long did it take you in
Yeah,
total?
oh, like an hour and a half. I'd have to get the train in. I'd have my album that I used to sleep to. So I used to sleep for an hour on this train, and then my body was programmed to wake up at Baker Street, get
Like
off,
Where
and
Sherlock is?
yes, yeah. There's a lot of there's a few little Sherlock things here and there around there, but yeah. So that's where I worked, and that was sorry I trail off quite a lot, and I forget the point I was trying to make. But yes, it was a lot of public transport, a lot of staying late after work, going to gigs, and then now I wake up at fucking like at 10 o'clock in the morning. Um, I I sometimes work on cruise ships. There is a lady outside of my window taking a picture of this building, and I don't know why she's doing it. There's a spy. Is trying to figure out.
Yes,
You
right.
are where you're supposed to be. Supposed to be at work. Yeah. Sorry. What were you saying?
No, I said I didn't send her. I promise. So is comedy your full time job, or do you have a full time job outside of
Yeah.
comedy?
Comedy's my full-time job now. Um, in Australia, the ceiling is only so high. So as comedians, we have to do like the highest paid work is cruise ships or corporate gigs. And corporates don't really come along that often. I
Mhm.
had one last night, but cruise ships book like a year in advance, and they'll book you out for like
Oh,
blocks of time at a time. So essentially I'm doing sort of 1 week on a ship and 1 week off at the moment. And in that week off, I'm doing work every single night, in the real world. And then out there, everyone's in holiday mode. So the gigs are slightly different.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for educating me because I didn't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever been in like a real cruise ship, and so when you said cruise ships the first time, I was kind of confused, but now it all makes sense to me. So I'm wondering what it was like because I noticed very very quickly that you are a super super charismatic and funny guy. I noticed that very fast when we before the podcast.
You're
So I'm
very
wondering.
complimentary.
No, I mean, I'm not even trying to be nice. I just realized it. So I'm wondering what it was like, because not everyone, barely anyone has this experience, to go from a socially awkward outcast to a super charismatic life of the party. Like, what was that shift like? That must have been kind of weird. What was that like?
All right. So I think I went through a similar journey to a lot of young guys, whereby we had our awkward later teenage years where, you know, men are so horny and we just want to talk to women, but women don't want to talk to us. And we have no idea why. Now, because we're young and our face looks like Domino's pizza, and nobody wants to talk to this. We have no money. We look like shit. And so, what I did, I discovered a book called, and you've definitely heard of this, I reckon, The Game by Neil Strauss.
I don't think
That
I
book,
have.
yeah, it's a book about pickup artists
Okay.
and him getting into the community, learning about how to talk to women using social techniques like neuro linguistic programming, certain phrases and words that would have an effect on certain people, and actions that would dictate how people would react to you. And it basically gave young, awkward men with slight Asperger's a playbook of how to talk to girls. So I read this thing cover to cover like
Mhm.
3 times, and all the outside reading of neurolinguistic programming, um, the psychology books, and just social dynamics. I read all of those as well. So I internalized all of that, and I was like, right. And in university, I was that weird kid that would go up to girls and try to do little games with them so I could guess what their personality was like. And then they would be like, "Oh, have you seen that guy that's just joined the film and TV production course? Yeah, he tried to do a weird thing called the cube on me." And I tried to do the cube on all these different girls that I spoke to and just weirded them out, really. And so after uni, that was still in my head, but I'd sort of learned, oh, don't do that to people. Just be yourself, and that basically is the game. Is when Neil Strauss, who was socially awkward, couldn't talk to women, learned all of the techniques to be able to do so. But then in the end, he realizes that really what people are attracted to is people who are comfortable in themselves and are confident in who they are. So yeah, it was that kind of curve of a journey that I went on. Like it's all still up there, but yeah, I have this kind of nihilistic view of we're all gonna die. Life is short. Just be happy and talk to the people you want to talk to. See
What
if
is?
they want to talk to you.
I'm wondering, what is the cube? You mentioned the cube. What is that?
Oh, dude, it's such a weird game. All right, I'll do it on you. I'll do the cube
Okay,
on you. Right.
okay.
So the cube is I'm going to ask you four questions, and I'm going to guess your personality by asking you these four questions.
Oh, this
Um,
is
so
fun. Let's go.
so there's a desert. Okay, in your mind, there's a complete desert. There's nothing else around. It's just sand as far as the eye can see. There is a cube in the desert. How big is the cube?
It's 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot.
1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. Nice. Okay. Um, what color is the cube?
It's clear.
It's clear. Ooh, ooh, ooh. This is what you got to do after every answer. No matter what answer you give me, you go, ooh, really? That's
This is fun,
interesting.
man. I have no idea where this is
Um,
going, but this is fun.
is the cube solid or see-through?
It's
Now you've
it's
just
solid
said it
and
was
see-through.
clear, so I assume that you wanted to be see-through.
It's solid and see-through.
It's solid answer. Oh, so it's kind of frosty, transparent.
I'm thinking like an ice, like an ice.
Okay. Um, okay. Last question. There is a ladder. Where is the ladder in relation to the cube?
It's leaning on it. 45 degrees, leaning on it.
45 degrees. Okay. So you said the cube is 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. And so this is a tiny ladder that's
Yeah,
on
I
the
guess
side
it
of
has to
the
be. Yeah.
cube.
Now that I think about
Okay. All right. Now, this is the point where I go, well, your personality is very interesting. You have a rich tapestry of a human being you are, and I'm going to break it down right now. Okay. Now, you're a beautiful woman on my college campus that I'm talking to, who at the end of this conversation would either be really weirded out or like, oh my God, that's so cool.
it.
But
One or the
either
other.
way, they're going to leave me alone. So the size of the cube relates to the size of your ego.
Okay.
So it's 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. You don't have a very large ego, Christian,
Apparently,
which suggests to me that you are very good at listening. You are open to other people's opinions. You're an active listener. And just the fact that we're on this podcast, you're asking me questions and you're taking in what I say and directing the conversation in a good direction tells me this as much. So that's your ego, small ego, good human being. I asked you what color the cube was. You said it's clear. You didn't specify a particular color, which means you're quite malleable socially, which means you fit into a lot of social groups. And I'm guessing you have a lot of friends who possibly different friendship groups that wouldn't usually gel with each other,
sure.
but you can fit into each one of those very
It's,
easily.
it's pretty accurate.
Oh, oh, look at that. Um, I asked what
The
if
latter.
the cube was see-through or solid.
Uh-huh.
Now it's clear, so it's kind of frosty, which makes me think that you know who you are as a person. You're very comfortable with that. However, you're a bit of a social chameleon. You will adapt to whoever is around you, and uh, even though you do know who you are, I think you're probably fairly susceptible to peer pressure. Like if a lot of people around you are doing one thing,
I would have to push back on.
no, really?
I'm
Okay.
not too susceptible, yeah.
I'm not talking about like drugs or anything like that. I'm talking about like, oh, we're gonna go rock climbing today. Do you want to come? You're like, oh,
Maybe
I'm scared of
slightly,
heights.
maybe slightly malleable, slightly, but I'm pretty immune to peer pressure for the most part.
Okay, okay. But basically, you know who you are. However, you are very socially adaptable. which
Sure.
is a great quality to have. And where is the ladder in relation to the cube? You said it's leaning against the side of it. The ladder is a representation of how far people have to climb to get to know the real you.
Wow.
Um, the so the real you isn't, it's very easily accessible. It's not too high. There is a little bit of effort involved in getting to know you, but basically, as a human being, is what you see is what you get, which is a very good quality because you are quite disarming and a very lovely human being that people think of as friendly and want to get to know. So there's my analysis of you.
I can
Now,
definitely see a woman going for that if you're actually like accurate, because that was pretty accurate. That was like a solid like 85% accurate, 90%. And I feel like if you're accurate, the woman would be very impressed by that.
now, final question: will you sleep with me?
I would if I lived closer. Wait, would you really ask that question? Would you ask that?
No, God, no,
Oh,
Jesus.
okay. That's
Um,
good. I've never heard of that before. That's very interesting, and it was pretty accurate, man.
yeah, it's just asking four questions and then trying to just squeezing some random psychological bullshit around it to make you look like you know what you're talking about.
Did you make up those psychological bullshit, or was that in the book?
No, it's in the book. I just
Interesting.
remembered it from when I was a kid.
So that's super. I should actually try that next time I go to the bar or something. So
You should. It's a fun game to play with anyone.
it sounds like that was I'm not gonna that was like the most fun I've had in a long time. So I asked
You need
you,
to get out more, Christian.
yeah, apparently, and ask that question while I'm out. So I asked you a question like 10 minutes ago about how, which started this whole conversation about how it was like to go from a socially awkward outcast to like a super charismatic guy. And you kind of explained like how you did it through the book, right? The book helped you a lot. I'm wondering like how it feels emotionally. Like, do you feel like a lot more, like, is your self-esteem much higher now? Like, does it feel awkward, or do you get kind of like imposter syndrome a little bit? Like, what is that like?
Oh, dude, I get imposter syndrome all the time. Everywhere I go, I feel like I don't belong there.
Hmm.
But the more I read about imposter syndrome, the more I realized like if you walk into a situation where there are experts and you're new there, if you don't have imposter syndrome, you don't belong there. It is very normal to have that because it shows that you care, you feel like you're out of your depth, which is a reflection of your own self awareness that you have so much more to learn. Um, and it's okay to feel that way. You should feel that way because it's good for you. It's good to feel uncomfortable and out of your depth because it drives you to be better at what you're trying to be.
Okay, so now I'm wondering if you ever even let yourself be comfortable, because you were saying being uncomfortable helps you grow, right? It helps you grow, it helps you progress, it helps you become who you want.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering, like, do you ever let yourself be comfortable?
Well, this is the thing. I've had to kind of put a few guardrails psychologically up for myself because I, right, this is coming back to this.
Uh-huh.
I am enough. You
Uh-huh.
are enough.
Uh-huh.
I always think that I'm not good enough.
Mm,
Always.
mm.
Um, personally and professionally, I always think that. And I'm very hard on myself. Like, if I don't get a huge laugh or rounds of applause, I think I haven't done well enough. And I'll come off stage and I'll beat myself up for it. I'm like, I could have been better. I should have chosen better materials suited for this audience. But um, that that is there are two sides to this coin, right? If you
Yeah.
think you aren't good enough all the time, it will drive you to become better and better and better.
Yes.
That's the good side of it because
Yes.
you're constantly working to make yourself better.
Correct.
However, if you keep thinking like that, it will permeate your core of a human being, and you will always think that you're not good enough, and you will constantly feel guilty and feel like you're a burden in a lot of situations where and that's not good, that's not healthy. I have to put guardrails up on myself to think, okay, failure is okay because it teaches us things, it allows us to grow, and it's okay to not be great sometimes. If you are successful all of the time and you're smashing it all of the time, you have no comparison on what smashing it really feels like. Because, yeah, like being the best of the best of the best all the time, that's now your baseline. That's normal for you. You have to fail and you have to suffer to be down here to compare it to know what being up here really should feel like, which should feel amazing. So you have to allow yourself some failures, you have to forgive yourself, and you have to not be as hard on yourself um, as maybe you feel like you should be if you think that you're constantly not good enough.
Super interesting response. So now I'm going to try to match that response with another response that's also interesting. So it kind of reminds me of this 50 Cent line where he says, sunny days wouldn't feel good if it weren't for rain. Joy wouldn't feel so good if it weren't for pain, right? We have to experience the failures and the suffering, like you said, to
Mm.
know what it feels like to be happy and to know that, like, yes, like I'm, to get that feeling of success. So, but what I'm wondering is, where does the idea that you're not good enough come from?
Ah, now you're getting deep here, Christian. Oof. Um, I
Why?
think it comes from your upbringing.
Yeah.
Um, and my my parents were not the most socially capable of parents. They didn't have a wide circle of friends. They always spent their time with each other. They argued, they fought with each other a lot, and I always felt like my dad resented having children. Like he was just angry the whole time, and he was one of those guys that just did nothing. He would come home from work, sit in front of the TV, drink beer, and do that every single night until bedtime. And he would stay up until like 1, 2 in the morning, and he would just talk to the dog. Really, yeah, yeah, yeah. And anything that we did wrong as children, um, I felt like I was blamed a lot, right? I know that they tell parents have new children, never ever blame the child, never ever say that it's their fault, because that will instill a sense of guilt in them that they will carry into adulthood.
Yes.
My parents didn't read those books. They went, "This is your fault. Everything's your fault." Um, there was, yeah, and I've grown up with this sense of guilt, like. I don't hang around that much with a lot of people, um, because I think if I hang around too much, it will give them more time to not like me. So I will leave a social situation earlier than maybe I would like to, because I feel like if I stayed longer, I would just be a bit of a pest. And speaking of parents installing guilt in their children at a very early age by telling them it's their fault, I do remember a time when I was about 5 years old, and my uncle had a horse called Soldier, and it was kept in this field just outside the village. And in the UK, there is this weed that grows in the field called ragwort, and it's a very tall weed with yellow flowers, and it grows to about the height of a 5-year-old boy. So I'm walking through the field and I'm picking the tops off of these flowers. Now,
Hmm.
when you pick off the top of ragwort, the flower emits this smell that's very tasty to horses, but it's poisonous to them.
Okay.
So I'm walking along in the field, picking off the tops of the ragwort like a little 5-year-old boy just exploring his environment. And my mum said, "Do not pick the tops off of the ragwort." Now, what she should have said after that was, and I'll tell you why, because if you pick the tops off of it, the smell will attract the horse will eat it. This is poisonous to horses, and if this horse eats too much, it will die. So please do not pick the the ragwort because you don't want the horse to die, do you? No, I don't want the horse to die, Mum. Okay, great. Well, don't do it. Okay, I won't do it. That's such a good way to teach a child. If you're going to tell a child not to do something, as a
Why?
parent, you have to tell them why.
Tell them why.
Because if you go, because I said so, the kid's going to go, fuck you, I'll do it anyway. Which is exactly what I did because my mum didn't tell me why. So I picked all the ragwort off. The horse ate a bunch of it and it died. And a few months after its death, I think I was annoying my sister on a family holiday. My sister cried, and my mum came into my bedroom, hit me so much. And as she was hitting me, she went, "This is all your fault. You're an awful child, and it's your fault that you killed my horse soldier." And I've always remembered that. And I've carried this sense of guilt into my childhood because of that and a few other incidences. But that's the one that really stands out for me. So it's the parents that really install the guilt within the child, or any adult, really. Teachers can do it, parents can do it, anyone that a child will look up to.
Sounds like a terrible mother.
Look, she was a great mum. She was a great mum. But I was not a socially acceptable child. But
Hold on,
I
I
think
let's stop you, Christian, because it sounds like you're still putting the blame on yourself today. Like before, one of the first things you said was I was a bad child, right? I noticed that you put the blame on yourself. I was a bad child, and you said I deserved it. You even said I deserved it. I gotta disagree with you, man. I think that maybe they were just bad parents.
mm, they did their best. It's what any parents do is their best. And it's very perceptive of you to look at my behavior now on this podcast and relate it back to the child that I'm telling you about.
Well, I have a question because you did mention that you have a therapist, and how long have you had a therapist for?
I have had one for what time is it now? It's 12:22. I've got ages. I've had one for only the past couple of months.
Okay, so what I'm wondering is, has your therapist ever told you to put more blame on your parents?
No, because I haven't really got into this section of my life yet.
So here's what I know about anger, Christian. What I know is when we don't place anger on the right person, it goes to ourself. And when we
Hmm.
don't put blame on the right person, it goes to ourself. The only solution that I can see is to put more anger on your parents because that's what I'm feeling. I mean, to me, honestly, she does not sound like a great mom at all. And I noticed that you kind of defended her, right? You said, "Oh, she's a great mom. She tried her best," is what you said. I think she could have done way better.
Um, I guess it just depends on who they are as people, really. They weren't the most socially capable of people. Um, they weren't the most emotionally intelligent of human beings. My dad is a massive man child, and
Still today,
what?
still today, he's today.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah. So we lost our mum last year.
Hmm.
Um,
Sorry,
yeah.
you didn't tell me that part. Sorry, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. It's okay. I've been trying to make it funny. I've been trying to
Yeah.
make it funny on stage, and like I'll tell a joke, and like people will be laughing, and I go, okay, let's turn to something happier. My mum's dead, and it just catches people off guard, and I just launch into that. But uh, yeah, they did their best. And if you have very socialized parents who have people over all the time and refer to their friends to you as your aunties and uncles, then I think you're going to be a very social human being as an adult. You're going to be an extrovert, um, and you're going to really enjoy being around humans, really. But if your parents were quite introverted, you'll probably be introverted as well and probably prefer the company of yourself as opposed to other people. I think I'm half half. Um, yeah, but they did their best. They did their best. you know.
Yeah, so,
Um,
so now I'm wondering because we hit 54 minutes. I'm wondering like, do you want to do more heavy lifting and go like more in depth, or do you want to like lighten things up and go like talk about something lighter?
I don't know. This is your pod, so you decide where you want it to go. I mean, the whole thing is called Mental Molding Matters. I
Right.
love the alliteration, by the way.
Thanks.
Um, yeah, so I guess yeah, getting this deep psychologically is good. Are you a therapist?
I'm in school to be.
You're very good at this.
Thank you. I try. I
Yeah,
also have to ask how much time you have because we're at 55 minutes. How much time do you have left?
I've got loads of time. I generally
Okay.
thought that this was going to be happening at 1 p.m., which if it was, I'd probably have to end it. But
Right.
it's only 20 past 12 in the afternoon here now. So
Because I want to do more heavy lifting.
let's do it. Let's go on. Let's dig the grave, shall we? Let's do it.
Sure. So I'm wondering like what is your relationship like with your father today?
Um, it's good. So so he's 77 years old. He's an old man now. He doesn't have mum around anymore, and he's quite. I think he's lonely. But he's comes from that generation where they don't talk about their feelings. They don't
Yeah.
admit what they're going through. So when mum died, he just went, "Oh, you just got to get on with it, really, don't you? Just got to
Uh,
get on with it." That's pretty much all he said.
wow.
Um, yeah, and I went back to the UK for my sister's wedding in October. Putting into context, my mum died in January, so she died
Oh, very.
9 months before my sister's wedding,
The,
and
what,
we're on the phone.
what year did she pass?
She passed on the 31st of January, 2025.
Okay, so last year. It's still pretty recent. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was me and my two sisters. We're on the phone together, video call. We're all crying. My mum's body is on the floor next to my sister's. They
Wow.
turned the phone to show me mum, and at the time it was pretty harrowing. But she did look like an extra from a Michael Jackson Thriller video.
Uh,
um, and we're all crying and we're all very much emotional with each other. And I said, "This is really, really sad." No, my sister said, "This is so sad because I'm getting married in October, and she would have loved to have seen her daughter get married."
of course, yeah.
And I said, "Well, look on the bright side. At least now you'll save money on catering." And we all laughed. Because
Mhm.
you gotta make
Good one.
jokes to get through it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. So my dad is quite lonely now. I think we're closer now that I live on the other side of the world.
Interesting.
We're closer
Yeah.
because when I was living in the house with him, I hated my dad and the way he was and how he acted. He uh, is a difficult man to get along with.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, very difficult. He's a man child. He has I said to dad on the phone because he never asked me any questions. He doesn't ask me how my career's going. He doesn't ask me how life in Australia is. He's not interested at all. And I don't know what it is about dads of a certain age. They just don't ask you any fucking questions. And it's so annoying because each time I phone, I have to write down some bullet points to keep the conversation going because I'm actively trying to have a relationship with my dad, even though he's just the most fucking brick wall of a human being to be able to talk to. So, what did I say to him? This was last year. I said, "Do you know what, Dad? I'm 38 years old." I said, "By the time I'm 42, I want to be able to sell tickets to my comedy shows based on my name. I want to have $500,000 in savings, and I want to have a career that is flourishing and I'm still hopeful for." And he said to me, "Yeah, but to have all that, you've got to have ambition." it blew my fucking mind. I was like, how am I genetically related to you who thinks this way? Who thinks ambition is something that other people have but you shouldn't have? Um, by the way, he had no ambition whatsoever. Um, uh, I at the funeral, my half sister gave the eulogy for my mum. So she's up there, she's talking about my mum's life. It lasts for about 5 minutes. I get up at the funeral and tell a lot of funny stories about my mum. I make all the family laugh. It was wonderful. It was like one of the best gigs I've ever had. It was at my mum's funeral.
It's a good time, yeah.
And yeah, and afterwards my half sister said to me, she goes, "You do realize that you're going to have to do this for your dad when he goes?" And she said, "How much do you know about your dad?" And I realized, like, I've lived with this man. I never moved out of home until I was 26. It was very comfortable. I've lived with this man for 26 years. He's been in my life for all the time I've been alive, and I don't know anything about him. So I've started to write his eulogy while he's still alive, because I work really well to a deadline. I even have a joke. I've got the first word. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, yes.
Finally. I'm joking.
That's a rough one. That's a rough start.
Yeah, I love my dad. He's like a father to me. Um, but yeah, so I've started trying to write down stories. He's a shit storyteller. He's terrible. Like he'll give you little snippets, um, and it's like talking to him is like micro dosing Alzheimer's. Like I don't know where I am, what the story is. He hasn't got it, but he's just always been a bad storyteller. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge to do this eulogy when he goes. But I don't think he's going to go anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I would say is I think that you have the right to think finally. I mean,
It's only a joke. I don't genuinely think that. I
well,
think it is funny to say that
even
though.
even if you did, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that. I mean, I think that you're a very compassionate person and that you're a very forgiving person. And sometimes I wonder, like, maybe you need to be a little bit more angry at certain people. And it's also kind of hard. It's a lot more tricky when they're gone, or when they're getting older. That makes the things a lot more complicated. You know what I mean?
Mm.
To tell you to increase your resentment towards a dead person, like that's a very difficult thing to do. But what I know is that your dad, he sounds like a narcissist to me.
Oh, yes. Yes. So interesting thing about this is before any of us knew any of these psychological terms, any of this language,
Uh-huh.
we just hated people for who they were.
Hmm.
And when the research into psychology was just broadened, and now it's a real ingrained part of our society, it helps us understand people that aren't like us.
Yeah.
And when we can put people into categories, it our tolerance for them goes way up.
Interesting.
So I think that this psychological language has really helped just people in general get along with each other.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, have I said anything that you disagreed with?
No, not really. Like if I describe my dad's behavior, it is classic narcissist, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't ask any questions and shows no interest in other people other than himself. Gets along with animals better than people because they're submissive and they don't talk back and they do what they're told.
And they can't understand
Um,
English.
yeah, and he never goes outside of his comfort zone. Always stays within the world that he knows, which is just walking the dogs, coming home, and watching TV. And it just incapable of saying sorry or admitting fault. Like that is classic narcissist behavior.
Narcissist
And
101.
yeah, seeing that in my dad has made me be so much more conscious of how I behave and what my views are in certain situations. Like
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. Like I try and be just really, really tolerant to people and how they behave. The other day, I actually pulled up to go and host a show, and I was trying to park, and there was this guy sitting in his car in front in the parking space, right? I
Mhm.
needed him to move a foot forward so I
Sure,
could fit my car in.
sure.
So I did a boop, like the little
Yep.
beep, the
And
friendly
yep,
boop,
yep, yep,
like that. If someone did that to me, I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, move forward, they
yep,
can get in, perfect, right?
yep.
He didn't move. I boop boop, nothing again. I'm like, fucking, this guy's gonna make me get out in traffic. I got out of my car. I said, hey man, do you mind if I just ask you to move a foot forward so I can fit in? This guy, right, Northern Beaches, Sydney, white South African. He's just like, I've already moved quite far forward. You can fit your car in that space. So fucking right. So I fit my car in. It was okay, right? And then I get out and he goes, do you know what? You should not have beeped at me. If you beep at me, that is very rude of you. That is so rude of you. You are a very rude human being. You know that. And I was like, this guy's fucking angry. Now, previous me in my early 20s would have said, fuck you, you fat piece of shit, just physically attacked him, like verbally attacked him, whatever. But I went, okay, sir, okay, you have the right to that opinion. Give me 1 second. And I went into my car, and in my drive, I'd just come from my friend's birthday party in the afternoon, and I hadn't touched any alcohol, but I had 4 beers on the seat
Mm-hmm.
in cans. So I got a beer, and I said, hey man, like, knocked on his window. I said, hey, have a beer. I said, life's too short to be this angry. And he wound up his window and he's like, fuck you, man, fuck you. Like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? I don't want no beer. So I walked away, and as about maybe a minute later, I just hear this voice behind me. Oi, oi, oi. He'd gotten out of his car and he had run towards me. He goes, what the fuck do you think you're doing? You're offering me beer? Are you drunk? Are you drunk driving? Is this what you are? And I was just like, dude, take the beer and relax.
Uh,
This whole thing, it's not a good way to live. He goes, you know what's not a good way? You're not a good way to live. You're not a good way. And then he walked away. And I was like,
that's
dude, yeah. And I walked into the gig and there were 300 people in there and I was hosting and I was like, I fucking hope he's in there. I hope he's in here because he would be like, that's the fucking guy I yelled at on the street. But yeah, I offered him a beer because I thought the best way to treat someone who is angry is to be just really calm and say poignant things to them, because in the moment they will be angry, but when they walk away and they're calm, they'll probably think about their actions and what you said. Because I actually had a reflection on this. I actually wanted to say, the way you're being right now will make your wife leave you and you will lose your family
oh,
because
oh,
you're this angry.
yeah, yeah.
And then I wanted to walk away, and I just wanted him to fucking think about that. I wish I'd have said it because it would have just, yeah. Oh
Yeah,
well.
no, I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, I think you handled the situation probably way better than I would. But I want to make it very clear that you had the right to be angry, and sometimes I feel like you don't feel like you have the right to be angry.
Um. Okay, right. So I got angry last night.
Hmm.
Um. But see, the thing is with me, I get angry at incredibly trivial things. Um. Last night, I'm sitting on the couch, and my housemates are in the room. And I live with a 40-year-old Brazilian who cleans the house, makes dinner, and is just a wonderful human being. I live with a 26-year-old Australian mathematician
Really?
and his girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
They're fairly introverted and they're not great at conversation. And the girlfriend, in a moment of silence, the girlfriend gets a carrot and chomps it, and it's the loudest fucking thing you've ever heard. And in my seat, I'm on the sofa, and I go, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she goes, "What?" And I go, "Are you serious right now? You would chew that carrot and let it echo in this room, and you don't feel bad for doing that?" And she goes, "I'm just eating." And I go, "You should feel terrible. You should feel terrible for doing this. Like, why would you make that noise with your mouth? It's disgusting, you know?"
Was her mouth
And then,
open while she was chewing, or was it closed while she was chewing?
yeah, open.
Because there's a
Oh,
difference. Like if it was closed, I would be, that's a different story if it was closed. You know what I mean?
yeah. But I've got a thing called misophonia, which is the hatred of sound,
Mm.
more particularly the sound of people eating and drinking. It only really affects me when I am not eating and drinking, and it's silent, and I hear people's sloshing and crunching and chewing, and like it's gross. It's so gross to me, and it's a real condition. It connects to the fight or flight center of the brain,
Interesting.
and which explains why when people hear people eating and drinking quite loudly, they feel this visceral rage within them, and that's exactly what I felt in that moment. So that's when I get angry, is those points.
I'm just thinking, and this is probably way off. Like, I think, sometimes like therapists and psychiatrists and psychologists, like sometimes they make like a mountain out of a molehill sort of thing. And I'm just thinking, this might be completely crazy. Like maybe the chewing reminded you of a horse subconsciously, and then you told me the horse story. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy. Is that like a possibility, or is that just crazy? I don't know. Maybe. What do you think?
Well, horses do eat carrots, so I can see that connection.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe it
yeah,
plays a
yeah.
tiny, tiny little role. And I'm glad to make you laugh because I think you've been making me laugh this whole time. And I don't want to do too much more heavy lifting. So I just kind of like want to like give one or two pieces of advice, and then we'll move on to a dating in Australia because I think that would be a fun topic. But just
Yeah.
just to, just to give like a really a brief summary of my thoughts. I believe that your father and possibly your mother, because I remember you mentioning in the beginning that they had resentment towards you and possibly didn't even want the child, right? And what I believe is that your father has a lot of resentment towards himself. And I mean, you said he lacked ambition, and you said that he just sits on the couch and drinks beer and talks to animals. It's very difficult to imagine your father not feeling like a loser. And if I had to guess, I would say that he feels like this giant loser who has a lot of resentment towards himself. What do you think about that?
Oh, fuck. Actually, I think you've got the nail on the head there. I've never heard anyone put it like that before. Um, but I think that's probably the reason why he doesn't have many friends, is because if you don't have any friends, you don't have anyone to compare your life to. Therefore, you don't have a way to feel bad about what you've done with your life. Um, Probably why he talks to animals, because, they don't judge. And yeah, yeah, I think you're right, because he is incapable of taking a joke, and jokes are, you make fun of someone at their expense by highlighting an insecurity
Yep.
and hoping that person can laugh it off, right? You highlight any of his insecurities, it's anger, um, like a tirade of insults towards you because you've picked up on something that he feels bad about.
Yep. Yep. And that he
Um,
misses.
Yeah, 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 yeah. God, he used to get so fucking mad when he used to come home, and my mum would say something that would just set him off, and he would be like, "Fuck you, fuck the dinner you've made," and and he would go upstairs and watch TV. And I remember my sister was 11, I was 12, and I go, "Has Dad just got angry and sent himself to bed without any dinner?" And then my mum's like, "Yeah," and then we all laughed because it's just such a most fucking ridiculous thing to do. Um, so yeah, not a very good role model for a masculine figure growing up was my dad.
And I'm glad that you came out pretty different. I can tell I mean, to me, it seems like you came out the complete opposite. And, maybe that was a subconscious thing, but he was this, social outcast, it sounded like, who had no friends. And that's not hard to imagine at all. I mean, someone who can't say I'm sorry or I forgive you or maybe even I love you. I mean, that person is probably not going to have any friends. And you're this super charismatic guy who is, you come across as like this social butterfly. And maybe that's part of the reason why you pursued comedy to just be the complete opposite of that narcissist. And I want to just say one more time because I think it's really important. I think that when we don't, what I said before, if we don't put the blame on the proper person, it goes to ourselves. And I do believe that happens with a lot of people, and I do see that in you. Do you want to lighten things up, or do you want to give a response to that?
Um, I do want to lighten things up, but just before we do, I think language is very important when talking about emotions, because when we articulate things with certain words, it puts a veneer on them that perhaps isn't appropriate to the feeling that you want to convey. So
Yeah.
when you say, um, when we don't put the blame on the particular people that we should put blame on, I think blame is a very negative word. Of course, it is. Um, I think probably a better way of saying that would would be to not shoulder the burden of who you are as a human being on yourself. The people who shaped you were your parents, and they shoulder that burden as well. So the negative qualities you have about yourself that you don't like were sculpted by your mum and dad. They're not sculpted by you, but your mum and dad have made the mold where you have shaped yourself. And it's not unusual to break the mold. You just have to realize that that's not set in stone and you can reshape the mold.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Did you have something else to add?
Nah, not really.
I mean, because when I hear you speak, what I hear is a person who broke a cycle, right? Like, and I know I wanted to lighten things up, so I'm about to get there. But I mean, what I would imagine is that his father probably didn't treat him too well, and that you broke a cycle. But anyway, that's a lot of heavy lifting for today. Let's talk about dating in Australia because I've lived in New York my whole life, never been to Australia, and I would love to know like what it's like dating in Australia.
Dating in Australia, it's probably like dating in any other country, really. Um, uh, I would imagine in America, people talk to each other in everyday life much more. Strangers talk to each other more. You guys are very confident. You're very open as human beings, and you have the ability to put yourself out there, and it's the home of the brave, you know. You are very brave to go up to people and talk to them, at the risk of being rejected, which is great. In Australia, um, we are sort of born out of a British culture. Australia, it is kind of American in the way that people are quite open here. Much more. I'm comparing this to the UK, by the way. Much more open than British people.
Huh.
Um, but yeah, I people don't meet each other in real life too much here.
Mm.
Men don't have the confidence to walk up to women and start a conversation as much as I would imagine Americans do. And I think this is partly due to the Me Too movement. Women have a lot of power when it comes to pressing charges against men. I mean, the most terrifying thing as a man for you to hear is a woman saying, I feel unsafe.
Yep. Yep.
I feel uncomfortable.
Yep.
Sends shivers down our spine. We feel like we've done something awful and terrible. So we won't go up and talk to women because of, I think, these reasons. And it's a societal thing. It's shaped, you know. I mean, is it the same in America? Would you think?
Yeah, so every state in America is different, right? In New York, yeah, there are a lot of people who are afraid to go up to women. It sounds to me like people here might be a little bit less shy to go up to women than over there. It sounds like the feminism is extremely strong down there. Is that right?
Um, what do you mean by feminism? Yeah, ladies being really, really independent.
Because I mean, so you mentioned the Me Too movement, right? So isn't that considered a feminist movement, the Me Too
Oh,
movement?
yeah, 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 yeah. Sure. So, uh, yeah, I mean, every country does have a mix of people who are career driven or people who want to have babies and be taken care of. You know, those traditional dynamics of the woman being at home, taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, and the man being a provider. Um, that that was so prevalent in the 60s, 70s, and 80s
Yeah. Yeah.
when the economy allowed you to be able to do
Yep.
that.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
yeah, but now house prices are so expensive. A
Yeah.
house is almost near impossible to afford.
Even in Australia, wow.
On Yeah, yeah, yeah. In some parts of Australia, like in Sydney, you both men and women have to work to be
Yeah.
able to do that, right? So there was it's a weird transition that we've made because of the economy. Like women in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they saw the men as providers. They
Yep.
wanted to raise a family, and they could do that, right? But then women wanted more independence. They wanted more autonomy
Yep.
in their own lives.
Mhm.
So they went out, they got jobs, they got careers, and they felt fulfilled in that way, which is fantastic. That was seen as um, a choice that women could make to
Yep.
do that.
Mhm.
Now that choice has essentially been taken away by how society works because it's not a choice now. You have to work. Like you can have a kid,
Mhm.
but you have to work
Yep.
along with your partner to be able to afford to raise a kid, afford the mortgage or the rent. Um, and that kid has to go into daycare.
Yep.
And that costs fucking loads of money as well.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a shit situation that everyone's in at the moment. We're talking about dating here, okay? I've turned it to an economic standpoint.
No, no, but economy plays a large role in dating. Money in the economy that affects the dating market completely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man, absolutely. And um, like I don't know how you feel, but I feel like the traditional views of women seeing men as providers, um, and men feeling like they should be providers are still installed within us. But we don't feel that way because the economy really doesn't allow a whole swathe of men to feel like they have enough money to take a woman out, treat her well, and provide for her because, we're living in a three-bedroom share house and you can't really take a woman back at the age of 38 and be like, look at what I have achieved.
I mean, listen, anything is better than nothing now. But no, I think you explained it really well. So, times are a lot different, right? Back then, the cost of living was much cheaper and women were making less. Now, the upside of today is that there are a lot less women who feel stuck in a marriage because back then, a lot of women felt stuck in a marriage for financial reasons. Like a lot of them had to stay because they couldn't survive financially to live on their own, whereas now there are more women who can survive because they make more money. So that's the upside, but the downside is that like you said, you worded it so well, that a lot of people still have the mentality of the man should be the provider, the man should pay the bills. But now we're at a different time where we can't, unless you're unless you're like in the 1% that are super rich, you can't afford to pay all the bills. And we just simply need help at this point, assuming that it's a house or not like a little shed in the corner. Like, most men nowadays need help paying the bills. So you brought up a great point.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that's the new version of masculinity is asking for help, not doing things on your own, you know. Um, yeah, it's tough, it's tough. But yeah, I'm 38 and I'm single. And being 38 and single like a lot of women I talk to have been married, divorced, and they have children. So I've never been married, never divorced. I haven't got any kids. Um, I've been like in love with my career. I'm very lucky to be able to do a job that I love to do. I don't desire to do anything else. I love what I do. So I haven't really been through that feeling of wanting more out of life because my career has really fulfilled me. And I think a lot of people, they they go, I want to be I don't know, I want to be a lawyer when I grow up. Yeah, cool. So they go, yeah, great, cool. I'll study law. I'll go to law school. I'll graduate, and then I'll become like an intern, and then I'll whatever the progress is to getting that. And it's their expectations versus reality
Yep.
is skewed.
Hmm.
So they think their life is going to be but it's not. It's just it's boring, you know. So their job has a certain limit that they reach. So they try and seek fulfillment in other things, which is romance, marriage, family, kids, and that's where they get the fulfillment in other ways. But being 38, I feel like I'm a bit of an outlier in that I have been very satisfied with my job, and I just uh, yeah, it's tough because I don't really want to date anyone with a child. Like it's
Do
just
I.
you could be the most lovely person in the world, but I'm not dating. I want to date you. I don't want to date you and your child. You know, I want to go on a holiday for two
Yeah.
weeks. It's like,
Uh,
nah, actually, we have to take the kids. We can't do certain things because the kid's like 5 years old, and I don't know, whatever. So yeah, it's tough dating at the late 30s. It's a transition you got to get used to.
So I'm 36, so I'm pretty much the same age, and I have dated
Yeah,
single moms, and it is tough. I mean, there's no denying that they're a lot harder to deal with because they're a lot more busy. They gotta, to feed the kid, and the kid, is oftentimes attached to the hip, and then if they're gone, they have to get a babysitter. So there's no denying that they're more difficult to date. But what I'm hearing is that you're so fulfilled by your career that you don't really have that much motivation to date.
like weirdly, no, not really. I don't, I could take it or leave it. It's it's nice to be able to text someone and come back and to be able to miss them and come back and be in their arms and be like, what are we going to do today? Let's go on an adventure. Let's go on a bushwalk. Let's
Yeah.
go to this cool cafe. Let's go to this exhibition, this museum, this exhibit. You know, that's fun to me. But the only reason I really like that is because I work week on, week off on cruise ships. So
Uh-huh.
I'm basically FIFO for dick jokes. So like I'll go away, I'll talk about my penis for a week, and then I'll come back and be like, let's use my penis for a week.
Right, right.
Um, but I've got no one to really use it with at the moment. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, you know, I mean, to me, okay, so, you have like 11,000 followers. You are clearly a funny, charismatic guy. You're a good-looking guy, and I'm not even just being nice. Like I really mean what I say. So
Shucks.
what I see is a man who probably has a lot of options.
Um. Uh. Uh. Yeah. I don't know. If I say yes, it makes me look really arrogant. But
I mean, I think you're allowed to say yes.
do you know? Right. So okay. So this is a little personal thing I'm going through at the moment. I'm trying to make myself brave enough to go up to women I actually find attractive in real life because I'm very British about it, whereby I'll see someone I really like who's really attractive, and I'll go, "Oh my God, she must be amazing. What should we do? Should we go up and talk to her and see where life will take us? No, let's just look away, wait for her to leave, and try and forget that she ever existed." That's my approach. So I'm trying to switch that because I'd like to take more chances and be with someone I actually like as opposed to going on a dating app and swiping like fucking Pokemon cards, hoping to find a Charizard that doesn't fucking exist,
Right.
you know?
So what I'm hearing is that there are two different fears. One fear is like the a false allegation, but then another fear is what if she doesn't love me back?
um, I suppose it's the rejection, really. But what's the worst that can happen, you know? I'm still holding that childlike uh picture of rejection whereby in school you would go up to a girl you liked, she's around her group of friends, hey, would you like to go to the prom with me? And she turns around and goes, ew, no, with you? Ugh. And then as you're walking away, she turns around and goes, what a fucking loser, and all of her friends start laughing. You know, that doesn't happen when you're in your 30s, you know? Like, you could be male or female, you could be a very good looking person in your 30s, but no, and two things can happen. Either you get approached all the time, which in a society of very brave people would probably happen quite a lot. But in Australia, we're not a society of incredibly brave human beings. So you could be a very good looking person, but no one's going to approach you because you scare them with how good looking you are. So that good looking person then feels like they're not good looking anymore. So if you go up and actually talk to them, you might be the only person that week, that month to even approach them and try and make a move.
Yeah.
Like, that's just making a move. Making a move in a non-creepy way,
Hmm.
that's even fucking more niche, right? So if you're actually a good-looking person that goes up to another good-looking person and is normal about it, holy fuck, that person who's been approached is probably going to feel like I've hit the jackpot here. They're going to go home. They're going to call a friend. They're going to be like, hey, this person, bro, how cool is that? I've still got it.
Yeah.
I think it makes them feel good. And but I've reached the conclusion there that I don't reach immediately in my head. Like, I've had to actually talk about that with you to get to the positives.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I immediately go to the negative.
Yeah, so it's interesting because you said that you mentioned a few times that people there, the men there specifically, are afraid to approach the women there. And that, to me, that's such a good thing because now you can stand out as a man, right? And now, like you mentioned, if you go up to a woman and be charismatic, which is probably really easy for you, now you're going to stand out even more because the other men are so afraid. So now you're going to look super confident by comparison. And what's also interesting is that everybody talks about the fear of them saying no. Nobody talks about the fear of them saying yes. So,
Yeah.
I want to talk about that because I'm wondering, like, is there a part of you that's like, I'm afraid of them saying yes because what if they find out the real me?
Oh yeah, I did talk earlier. The more time I spend around people, the more afraid I am of them getting to know the real me.
My question is your fear of them saying yes or no greater? Which fear is greater?
This is such an interesting question because if they say yes, you go, okay, great,
I find out the
let's go
truth.
for a drink, right? You go for a drink, you find out about each other's life stories. Um, in your 30s, it's probably less likely for you to go back to each other's houses because over the course of you fucking your brains out in your 20s and early 30s,
You're
you'll
tired.
be like, oh, I might try a little bit of this self-respect thing for a while. Um, yeah. And then when you finally do go back to each other's places, the place where you live is sort of a reflection of where you are at in life, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah. A symbol.
Yeah, yeah. And you're afraid of them looking around going, ugh.
Well, there are a lot of people who kind of do the opposite of what you said. There are a lot of people who like don't really sleep around much in their 20s, like me, and then in their 30s they kind of go, let me loosen up. Like I worked my entire 20s. Let me loosen up, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I imagine you would have achieved quite a lot. I mean, you're training to be a therapist now. What did you used to do as a previous career?
So I worked pretty much my entire 20s. I was a school safety officer. And then around like age 29, I also started reselling
Fucking
sneakers.
hell, school safety officer in America.
Yeah, yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. And no weapons either. No weapons. Thankfully, I never got seriously hurt or hurt at all. But yeah, it's a pretty serious job, and it's pretty rare that someone goes from a school safety officer to a therapist. But I want to get back to the question, because you never really answered it, which is, are you afraid of them saying no more, or afraid of them saying yes more?
Do you know what? Weirdly, I think I'm afraid of them saying yes
Yeah,
because
there
because I am not a very decisive person.
you go.
I feel like I'm in the corridor of life with all these doors open to me, and I feel like if I walk through one of them, every one of those other options is closed. And that's not just in a romantic sense, that is in every sense.
Financial.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because, yeah, I was dating someone with a 4-year-old child for a little while,
Mhm.
and she goes to me, she goes, "You're not just getting me, you're getting my daughter, and we're going to do stuff together." And I'm like, okay, all right. I'm telling myself, like, you can be cool with this, whatever. And then I went to work on a ship. I'm chatting with a 68-year-old Irish magician who's got 3 children. And I tell him about my situation. I said, "Yeah, I'm dating this girl. She's got a 4-year-old daughter, and you know, you've got kids, and I guess that's okay. Like, growing up and having those experiences with children." And he goes, "Yeah, but they were my kids." And I was like,
Good pal.
it's a fair point. I'm like, evolutionarily, there is that thing in us that go, I mean, even male lions will come in
Yeah.
and they will kill the children already there so they can have their own kids.
That is so interesting. That I've never used. They would kill the person there to have their own kids. So I guess that I mean, yeah, I have noticed that a lot of men are
It
just
sounds terrible, doesn't it?
yeah
Don't blame me, blame Charles Darwin. That's
yeah,
his idea.
yeah, or the Lions or Simba or someone. But you mentioned that you're open to one, but you're not really needing one, and I think that's the best place to be, man. I mean, to me, like the healthiest mentality, probably the happiest man is the guy or the girl who says like I'm open to one, but I don't really need one. Like to me, that seems like a very healthy place to be. What do you think?
Are you talking about children?
I'm talking about relationships, dating.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because in your 30s, you have money, you know much more about who you are,
And who
your
women,
likes and
what is
dislikes.
women better too.
Yeah, and you're a bit more discerning in who you are willing to start a relationship with or go on a date with.
Mhm.
Um, and at the moment, I'm kind of happy just being single and seeing where life takes me, really. There is that urge of like, I don't want to feel lonely. I wish I had someone to spend this afternoon with. I wish I had someone just to go to a market with or a cafe with or just down the beach with. That would be lovely. But those pangs are only small pangs. Like I've got loads of friends that I can spend time with, like you know, but it's not the same as I can't go out with my mate to a cafe and go, all right, Gary, do you want to go back and have some awesome afternoon sex? That's not that's not me with my friends, but it's just nice to have that with somebody.
Well, what I would imagine is that that feeling of wanting someone is a lot stronger on your weeks off than on your work weeks.
Oh, fucking yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because
Yeah.
I've got nothing to do. On my work weeks, I've got like gigs to focus on, audiences to
Right.
please. I've got like a specific goal and a work method towards that goal. But while I'm here, I've got my time off, and it's like, what are you doing with your free time? Let's have a podcast where we talk about our childhood.
This has been a great conversation, man.
Yeah.
We're reaching 2 hours, so but before I just want to kind of wrap this up and kind of I want to make this very, very, very clear to you, man, that and it might sound super corny, but you deserve to be loved, man. You deserve to be loved, and you deserve to be happy. I'm sorry if that's corny, but you are enough. And you know, I wasn't planning on getting so corny, but I had to say it, man.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you, Christian.
I try, man.
Christian to Christian.
From
Yeah.
Christian to Christian, you're enough, man. You deserve to be happy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you deserve to be happy as well. And I guess you starting up these podcasts and talking to all these different people from all these walks of life has given you a very broad scope on the human condition and how we're molded by our parents, life experiences, upbringing. But what it all boils down to is everybody needs love. They want to love,
Yep.
and they deserve to be loved. And we all deserve to be loved, Christian.
It's true. And I wasn't even planning on like saying because you know like I try not to be too corny on this podcast, but sometimes I just feel like the need to say it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's nice. You're American. You deserve that. You have the right to be corny. You're like the king of the corn syrup over here.
Exactly. So Christian, the truth is that I have a million more questions, but I figured let's save it for part two.
Yeah, I'm keen for a part two. If you want a part two,
Let's wait a few months and then to you know to wrap things up and then we'll have a part two in a few months, Christian.
dude, that's sick. That's so good. Yeah.
Man, it was
Oh,
great
thanks,
talking to you,
Christian.
man.
Thank you very much.
Keep in touch, man. Keep in touch. I'm a huge
I
fan.
will do, man.
Okay, Christian.
Awesome. Anyway, thank you very much. It was lovely to talk to you. It's nighttime for you there now, so you're probably just gonna, I don't know, watch an episode of something and go to bed, I guess.
I have to eat dinner still, and then I'm gonna go to bed.
Nice. Well, have a lovely evening. I'm gonna have a lovely day. It's gorgeous outside, so I'm gonna just walk down by the beach. Then I'm gonna go to therapy, and then I'm hosting the Sydney Comedy Store this weekend.
Wow.
So yeah, man, it's gonna be great.
I would love for you to tell your therapist about this conversation.
I will actually. I am seeing her in an hour and 20 minutes.
And I would love for you to send a voice message later on about what she said about this conversation.
All right. Okay. I will. I'll give you the lowdown.
Okay, Christian. Have a good day, man. Hey guys, it's Chris. Hope you guys liked today's video. And if you want to see more mental health videos, please subscribe. And if you don't want to, that's okay too. Peace and love.